Welcome in, Bills Mafia, to our post-game show presented by GoBillsPodcast.com, where we bleed red, white, and blue. Today we are going to talk about the divisional matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. The Bills capitalizing on 31 consecutive points, 31 unanswered points as well, where the Broncos lost the game 31-7. The Buffalo Bills, after that first drive where the Denver Broncos scored, looked pretty much unstoppable out there on both ends of the field. The defense really solidifying things, and then you saw the offense just putting up points left and right, led by James Cook and Josh Allen, both who had tremendous days. So let's talk about this matchup, and let's also bring up some of the players of the game that we will talk about later on in the show. Let's start with the team stats for the Buffalo Bills. I want to bring up both sides of the coin. So we'll start with the Buffalo Bills on each category and then the Denver Broncos on the other side. The Buffalo Bills winning the total yards in the game, 471 to 224. Passing yards for the Buffalo Bills, 261 to the Broncos, 145. Rushing yards, 210 for the Bills, 79 for the Broncos. Yards per play, this was kind of where it staggered. At the beginning of the game, the Denver Broncos were beating the Bills in the yards per play. And then towards the second half of the game, that's where things started to move in another direction. The Bills winning that category 6.5 to 5.3. First downs in the game, the Bills were 2-1 to the Denver Broncos, 26 to 13. This is a big category that I love for the Bills. Is their third down efficiency on both ends of the ball. Starting on offense, 8 of 15, which is just under 50% in the game. And then on the other side of the ball, the Bills getting off the field on third down. That was a big thing that I was worried about as this game started off, was being able to get off the field on third down. And you saw times where Von Miller was creating some very good pass rush in the game, as well as Greg Rousseau and some of the other players on the defensive line. But the defensive line was able to get off the field, and the whole defense was going 2 of 9 for the Denver Broncos. Fourth down efficiency for the Broncos, 1 of 3, where the Bills were 2 of 2. Total plays on offense, this was the big category where the Bills won 72 plays on offense to the Broncos 42. 2 sacks by both teams, 4 punts by the Broncos versus the Bills' 1 punt. One category that kind of concerned me a little bit as the game was going on was their penalties. The Bills having 7 penalties for 45 yards, 3 penalties for the Broncos for 27 yards, 0 fumbles lost, 0 interceptions in the game, so no turnovers on both ends of the ball. But Bo Nix could have had a couple of passes that were intercepted, but players were not able to come up with the ball. One of them bounced off the field where you saw with DeMar Hamlin. That would have been an awesome interception if he was able to bring that in, but unfortunately he wasn't. Time of possession battle, this is incredible to even hear about, especially for the playoffs. Almost 42 minutes of time of possession for the Bills versus 18 for the Denver Broncos. Let's go over to player stats in the game. We'll start off with the visiting Denver Broncos in the game. Bo Nix, 13 of 22 for 144 yards, 1 touchdown. The leading rusher in the game was also Bo Nix, 4 carries for 43 yards in the game, having a couple of great scrambles in the game. The leading running back in the game was Javonte Williams with 7 carries for 29 yards. So this is a little bit encouraging as the Bills will go on to the Baltimore Ravens in that scary offense led by Lamar Jackson as well as Derrick Henry. Maybe the Bills can find a way to stop Lamar and Derrick Henry in that game, but it's going to be very tough if they are able to do that. Leading receiver in the game, Courtland Sutton, 5 catches for 75 yards. The only touchdown the Bills gave up was to Troy Franklin. He's one of their fastest wide receivers for the Denver Broncos, doing a really good job of beating coverage where you saw Taylor Rapp as well as Christian Benford on that play, both getting beat on that play, and Troy Franklin had a great read on it, saw that the middle of the field was wide open, and he took advantage of it. And the Bills capitalized later on, making sure that they played better coverage in that game, and they were able to get off the field on third and fourth downs. The one fourth down conversion that you did see in the game was Riley Dixon picking up 15 yards on a throw where he was 1 of 1 in the game. But it was a fake punt, and that's something that the Bills need to be able to cover, especially in the playoffs. You know you're going up against Sean Payton, who did a wonderful job in the playoffs when he was with the Saints, going for it in the Super Bowl as they were coming out of the second half. Went for it on that play, and they were able to recover the ball. You know that sometimes he's going to do that again, and he took advantage of it in that scenario. The leading tackler for the Denver Broncos, P.J. Locke, had 10 tackles in the game. A couple of sacks in the game for the Denver Broncos. One of those was D.J. Jones, another interior defensive lineman who did a wonderful job in the game getting pressure on Josh Allen, having the one sack. The other sack was Zach Allen, who had a great game there. He's had a couple of good games overall. One of them was 3.5 sacks that he had in another game. But good numbers overall from them. On the other side of the ball, we'll start with Josh Allen in the game, doing a wonderful job. 20 of 26 in the game for him. He had quite a few throws that some of them I never imagined that any other quarterback but Josh Allen could make. He finished with 272 yards in the game, 2 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, doing a wonderful job. A couple of those throws that he made, one of them was to Curtis Samuel, another great touchdown that he had on that play. Samuel was getting involved in the offense, and that's just another weapon that the Bills can use, and I can't wait to see them use him more and more in the playoffs. Hopefully he can get going, especially with the Bills paying such a hefty fee for him to come over from the Washington Commanders to the Buffalo Bills. Leading the way in rushing was James Cook, 23 carries, 120 yards, and 1 touchdown. They started to not use him towards the second half of the game as much just because he was being a little bit trying to get him healthy, number one, and make sure that they kept him fresh for this Baltimore Ravens team that we're probably going to have to run the ball on more and more and establish the offensive line and the battle in the trenches in the next game. So they're keeping him on a pitch clock there. Curtis Samuel, the leading receiver, 3 catches for 68 yards. That touchdown that he had, doing an incredible job on the sidelines on that throw, being able to beat defenders and get away and scoring on that play. The other touchdown that Josh Allen threw, Ty Johnson, an incredible touchdown from Ty Johnson, where he was able to find a way in the back of the end zone on 4th down to be able to get into Josh Allen's area where he could throw that pass where nobody else could catch it, and Josh put it in a nice area. Ty Johnson made an incredible play there, and they were able to get a touchdown on that play. On defense for the Buffalo Bills, the leading tackler in the game was Terrell Bernard, but both linebackers, Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano, making a statement in this game. Milano having a sack in the game, one of the 2 sacks that the Buffalo Bills did have. The other one coming from Greg Rousseau, who had another sack, 2 tackles by him in the game as well. The leading player in terms of special teams in this game was Tyler Bass. He had made all 3 of his kicks. So let's give a little props to Tyler Bass, who last year started off 3 of 5 in the playoffs, missing 3 of 5 kicks in the playoffs, having a better start to the playoffs this year. So let's give a little props to our special teams game. Everybody doing a great job there. And then on special teams, let's talk about the play that was one of the best plays that I saw, which was Mac Hollins doing everything, not only in the offensive side of the ball, but in special teams, making a big stop there and a big tackle on special teams. So that was a great thing to see there as well. Let's go over to the overview of the game. Let's start with a scoring summary. We'll begin with the first score of the game and kind of work our way through the game. Starting off with in the first quarter with 12 minutes and 36 seconds left in the first quarter, Troy Franklin Bo Nix completing a 43-yard pass to Troy Franklin with Will Lutz making the kick, making it 7-0. The Bills got the ball on the next drive going down the field. Unfortunately, not getting the ball into the end zone, but Tyler Bass making a 26-yard field goal, making it 7-3. In the second quarter, James Cook rushing for 5 yards with 12 minutes and 57 seconds left in the quarter, making the game 10-0 with the Tyler Bass kick that he made on that extra point. The Bills getting the ball in the second to start the second half. The Bills moving down the field. Unfortunately, we're not able to get into the end zone on that drive as well. Tyler Bass making a 27-yard field goal, making the game 13-7. Then, with 3 minutes and 6 seconds left in the third quarter, the Bills kind of opening it up a little bit more. And you see the 24-yard completion from Josh Allen to Ty Johnson, where the Bills were able to make it 19-7. Bills ended up going for 2, and you saw Keon Coleman making a 2-point conversion on the play. Another pass thrown by Josh Allen to Keon Coleman, and a good pass there as well. Then, fourth quarter, this is where the unanswered points continue to pile up, as you see. With just under 11 seconds in the fourth quarter, having played in the fourth quarter, Josh Allen completes a nice pass to Curtis Samuel, who kind of played the role of Khalil Shakir. And I know my buddy Mike Thornton from Nickel City Mafia will say this, kind of played that pinball role where he got defenders to miss him and made 3 defenders miss. And you saw Curtis Samuel get into the end zone for a 55-yard touchdown pass from Josh Allen. Tyler Bass making that kick, making it 28-7, so a 3-possession game at that point. Then, with 4 minutes and 37 seconds left in the game, the Buffalo Bills completing that 31-point run that they went on with Tyler Bass making a 34-yard field goal to make it 31-7, and that's the scoring summary for the game. Incredible job overall. I got to give props to everybody on the Buffalo Bills. This was a complete win. It wasn't just the offense doing it. The defense, after the first drive, doing an incredible job of being able to kind of shift gears and reset after that first drive, because they could have went on and just gave up and not played in this game, but they did a great job of correcting the mistakes that they made and making sure that they were able to capitalize on the mistakes by the Denver Broncos and not give up any more points. So props to the whole entire defense and the whole entire offense doing a good job. But I know my buddy Sean Kula of Red, White, and Bills will say this: the battle of the trenches, the Bills won on both sides of the ball. So an incredible job by them on both sides of the ball, winning the line of scrimmage there. Let's turn it over to the next game that we will see, which will be our next opponent in the Baltimore Ravens. This is going to be a tough matchup between a team that has a ton of Pro Bowlers versus a team in the Buffalo Bills that does not have a lot of Pro Bowlers. So this matchup is going to be fun. A lot of offensive firepower by the Baltimore Ravens with Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry, as well as Lamar Jackson leading the way. Then on defense, we're going to have a few weapons to go up against, especially with Marlon Humphrey, as well as former Buffalo Bill and former first-round pick by the Buffalo Bills, Tre'Davious White. So let's see what happens there, and I cannot wait for this matchup. We'll have more coverage of the playoffs as it comes in. We'll let you know when the Bills are going to play next week when we do find out, but that should be later today when we do find that out. This has been Go Bills Podcast, and we will see you next time for another edition of our post-game show presented by GoBillsPodcast.com. Until then, go Bills.